My name is Etta Lopresti, Lopresti. I am the Indian River County Emergency Management Coordinator. Hurricane Matthew is currently a Category 3 hurricane, but forecast to strengthen to a dangerous Category 4. This is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening hurricane. A hurricane warning is in effect for Indian River County, as well as storm surge warning. A flood watch is in effect. Potential wind impacts are likely to be extensive to devastating. Indian River County winds are forecast to be 95 to 115 miles per hour, gusting to 140. The onset of tropical storm force winds will begin mid to late afternoon. Threat of storm surge for those living on the Intracoastal Waterway. Rainfall is expected to be 6 to 8 inches, locally heavier up to 8 to 12 inches. The time to act is now, folks, before the arrival of tropical storm force winds.
Good morning, my name is John King. I'm the County Emergency Services Director, and I want to express to you that we're very concerned about your safety in this community. This is a very, very powerful storm. Most of you know we did voluntary evacuations were issued yesterday for the Barrier Island early this morning. We went to a mandatory evacuation for the Barrier Island. There's every expectation from the National Weather Service we're going to have significant damage along our coastline and inland. It doesn't just stop at the Barrier Island. The winds will be great. If you're on the island right now, you need to evacuate immediately. If you're in the low-lying areas east of US 1, we're issuing voluntary evacuations. We're concerned about your safety as well. Also, if you're in a manufactured home, if you're in a low-lying area, or if you live in a much older home that is not up to current code, we also suggest this is the time for you to take action. For those folks who have not finished putting up their shutters, for those folks who haven't done their last-minute preparations, cleaning around their yard, have made arrangements with other families, relatives, friends to stay at their house, you need to do that immediately. Do not wait until the winds begin to pick up. When the winds do begin to pick up, they're going to pick up very quickly. It's going to be almost too late to make a safe evacuation to another area. Take this information you're receiving today very, very serious. We are very concerned about your safety. We do have some shelter openings. One shelter in the South County is Oslo Middle School. That address is 480 20th Avenue Southwest. We have a shelter in the center part of the county, Freshman Learning Center. That's at 1507 19th Street in Vero Beach. We have one shelter open in the Sebastian area, Sebastian River Middle School. It's 9400 County Road 512. We have a pet-friendly shelter. I would tell you that that shelter is filling up very quickly. If you have pets and you're going to our shelter, hopefully you pre-registered. We will take a few extras at the very end, but I'm telling you that shelter is filling very quickly. If you're going to go to that shelter, you need to go now. That address is 6850 81st Street in Vero Beach. And we have a special needs shelter. If those people in this community are medically dependent upon having electricity to run a medical device for your safety, or you need special care, you need to bring the caregiver with the person that needs to be checked into the special needs shelter. Hopefully you pre-registered. If you did, we're waiting for you to arrive. Arrive as soon as you can. That address is 8955 85th Street. All the government agencies, both the county, the constitutional officers, the municipal government agencies, state agencies, we are working together as best we can to provide all the services that you need, but much of the responsibility is on you. You have responsibility to yourself, responsibility to your family. We're giving you all the information that we have, and we've taken the advice from the National Weather Service. Please take this information and make very smart decisions for you and your family.
Good morning. I'm Jason Brown, Indian River County Administrator. I want to urge all of our residents to take these precautions that we're recommending, take this storm very seriously. This is a very serious threat to our area. I would like to add that we have various information outlets that we're distributing our information to with the most up-to-date information. We continue to work with our media partners. We also have our Facebook page, Indian River County Emergency Services Department. You can follow us at Indian River EOC on Twitter. We have a great app that's Aware and Prepare Indian River that's available on the App Store and Google Play. That has some great information on it. You can also check in with out-of-town family members after the storm, and we're sending out text messages. You can go to alertindianriver.com and sign up for our web alerts. You can get text message alerts, voice alerts, and also at our county website and the sheriff's website, sheriff.org. Our county website is ircgov.com. You can get the web alerts, but I want to reinforce this is a very serious threat to our area. We ask that you take these precautions that we're recommending. We're working very hard to keep everyone safe, but we need you to help us and keep yourselves safe and heed. If you're in a voluntary evacuation area, we strongly encourage you to evacuate. If you're in a mandatory evacuation area, we very, very strongly encourage you. You need to do those evacuations now, and time is short. We anticipate impacts of the storm this afternoon, so you need to finish making those preparations now. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Eric Flowers, Lieutenant of Public Affairs with the Indian River County Sheriff's Office. We want to let you know that Public Works is in the process of taking down traffic lights that are suspended by wire. So any traffic lights that are attached to those green poles that are mounted permanently, they're going to stay in place. But the ones that are on wires, suspended by wires, those are being dropped, and those intersections are transferring to a four-way stop. Fortunately, right now, the roads are pretty clear. There's not a lot of people on the roads, but after the storm, there will be people who want to get out and move around. Be very cautious at all intersections. There may be people around you don't realize. There may be people on foot, so please be careful as you travel throughout the county. Next, I want to discuss the closure of the bridges. We will close the bridges at 39 miles per hour. When we receive reports that sustained winds reach the level of 39 miles per hour, all bridges in Indian River County will close. Please do not get caught on the wrong side of the bridge. If you are over there and the bridge is closed, you will not be able to make it back to the mainland. If you plan to evacuate the mainland, you need to get over here before the winds reach 39 miles an hour. I want to remind everybody about our emergency hotline, 772-226-4000. That's here at the EOC. You can call for information. We've got that number on 24 hours a day. And I want to remind you that 911 is strictly for emergency reporting only. If you have an emergency, you need an ambulance, you need a fire truck, you need a police officer, please call 911. If you have questions about the storm, please call 226-4000. If you have questions about power outages, about service outages, please call the provider agencies. We do not, we'll take those reports, but they need to go directly to those provider agencies. Thank you.
Will there be someone from FPL here to answer any questions?
You guys?
FPL is in the EOC. They've been here all day today, since very early this morning. And we can get a representative to visit with you after this meeting.
Can you answer regarding a question regarding the shelters? How many people can each shelter accommodate?
The middle schools can, they have a capacity of around 1,500. The special needs shelter has a capacity of 500 plus caregivers. The pet-friendly shelter has a capacity of 184 plus pets.
184 people and their pets?
And their pets, yes, 184 plus their pets.
Can you tell us about the voluntary evacuations? What areas are those?
Voluntary evacuation, the areas east of US 1. Now that's out of an abundance of caution because we just now, late yesterday, found out about the storm surge and how dire that could be. So we're asking for a voluntary evacuation east of US 1 up to the Intracoastal Waterway.
And what would you say to those who are under a mandatory evacuation but refuse to leave their home?
They need to be prepared for the consequences. We are not kidding when we say that this is a powerful and dangerous hurricane. Those that are living in a mandatory evacuation area need to take those evacuation orders seriously or be prepared for the consequences.
And when you close those bridges, does that mean that, first responders won't be able to make their way onto the other side?
That is correct. We're expecting winds, well, the National Weather Service tells us to expect winds up to 130 miles an hour in this community. And fire trucks and ambulances and patrol cars are not safe on the streets at 130 miles an hour.
And can you talk to us a little bit about driving in these conditions? Obviously, it's common sense to stay home, hunker down, but for those people who may think like, I'm just going to drive over to my cousin's house last minute when we're feeling this impact, is that safe to do?
That's why we have told people yesterday to start their voluntary evacuations. We've made some mandatory evacuations today. They need to leave right now. If they're gonna go, we're running out of time now, and it's not gonna get any better as that storm approaches. It's very dangerous. They need to leave immediately.
And you guys said you expect winds to pick up by this afternoon?
Yes, ma'am.
So you want everybody where they need to be by this afternoon?
Exactly.
Or right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it won't be long, it'll be afternoon, and so we need them to be moving now.
About
Well, and
approximately-
speaking of driving and why they need to be very cautious is that after the storm, there's gonna be a lot of debris in the roadways. There's gonna be the possibility of having downed wires. There's gonna be broken tree limbs. That's why we wanna caution everyone not to go out on the roads and sightsee. One of the first things we're gonna do is have crews go out there to determine how safe it is before we issue an all clear. We're not trying to intentionally keep people away from their homes, but it's important that we safeguard their safety. We're gonna have crews go out, report downed wires, report heavy debris, and make sure that we get crews out there to clear the debris and make it safe for traveling.
It's a high probability they'll get a flat tire. And there won't be a lot of road services to come help them. And I can tell you that from past experience, that when we have this type of wind move into the community, there are all kinds of roofing nails that end up on the roadways, and there'll be a lot of flats.
And we always say, turn around, don't drown, is that what it is?
That's
When we
correct.
see the water, right, so you're encouraging people, if there are floodwaters, not to drive through them, to try to get to your home or sightsee or whatnot.
And that's a good point. The National Weather Service continues to give us information about the storm surge that's gonna occur. And many people are under the impression that a storm surge only impacts those people that are right on the dune line. But we have the large intercoastal. The elevations of those properties adjacent to the intercoastal are at a lower elevation than actually the dune line for most of the county. So we're gonna have flooding on both sides of the intercoastal waterway before we actually have a breach of the dune line. So it's very important, and that's why US 1 for the most part is very close to the intercoastal waterway, and that's why the voluntary evacuations are from US 1 east.
What do you do if you're in your home and the water starts to rise really fast? Now what do you do?
Make smart decisions. I can't give it, there's not a standard answer for everybody, but we know that the safest place in most homes from wind is gonna be a central room, probably a bathroom. They're usually the safest. There's the central bathroom, not the one on the exterior wall. If you have to go to a place of last resort in your house, that's probably gonna be it. Be mindful of the water. The amounts of water that each house is gonna get is gonna depend upon how new the house is. The newer homes are built to a higher base floor elevation than some of the older homes. But anybody who has any concerns that might happen, they need to leave their home right now.
Is there any, is there gonna be anything regarding a curfew in place, when the storm hits?
The sheriff would be working with County Administrator Brown on that, and they would make a determination after the hurricane on any sort of alcohol bans, curfews, anything like that. That would have to take place after the storm. So it's under consideration, but it wouldn't be until after the storm things like that would happen.
Could anyone talk about lessons learned from the 2004 storm that you're now applying with 2012? I mean 16, sorry.
I would just say that Jason and Ed and I were here in 2004 and in 2005. We survived those storms, and I think that many of the things that you see happening right now were We had activities to communicate to the public and to take certain protective actions. We've taken those lessons learned and tried to improve on that. And just as a nationwide community, there's much more information available electronically than there was 10 or 12 years ago. And that's why you can get information from Twitter, you can get information from Facebook, you can get information from the county government channel, you can get information from our Everbridge call-down system. The information opportunities are out there. I think the more information you have, the more in a better place you are to make those unique decisions for you and your family. But I know that this is the third time I've said this. I want people to take this as a very serious storm. This is a very, very serious storm. Make smart decisions.
Another thing I can add is that since 2004, you talked about what lessons were learned, and a lot of lessons were learned by the utility companies. And their infrastructure has been hardened, and I think things will come online a lot faster than they did in 2004, but I can pretty much guarantee you that you will be without power. So you need to be prepared for that. Make sure that you have your flashlights, your extra batteries, extra cell phone battery, radio, extra batteries. Again, it's pretty likely that you will be without power for some time. But that was an important lesson that was learned, and that was that their infrastructure is a lot harder and better to cope than it was back then.
I'd also like to say that information will be available from our radio station. We talk about all the new things that we have. Let's talk about some of the things that are tried and true and have been around for a long time. The Christian radio station, 91.9, they're going to help us get information out. And so even if you lose power at your house, there probably hasn't been many cars made since 1973 that didn't have a radio in it. So you go to the Christian radio station, 91.9, they will be giving you updates.
Can you talk a little bit about after the storm passes and let's say we do have some flooding, the dangers of having children play in those waters? Because we see that a lot of times once, streets are flooded, the kids are out there playing in downed wires and all that. What would you advise parents?
I would advise parents to be very cautious. That you've talked about down power lines. There's also certain health issues with playing in standing water. And I'd also share with you, this is one of the few times you can tell your children that it's okay to wear their shoes outside when it's wet. Many, many injuries after a storm occur because somebody has stepped on something sharp. And so those shoes will wash, or they'll be usually tennis shoes, you can wash them. But everybody that's outside, if you're out trying to do cleanup in your yard, everybody should have shoes on. Injuries happened to adults with trying to move tree limbs or move heavy pots or falling off of a ladder because it's wet and everybody's in a rush. But kids will step on something sharp, and so please protect them.
Anything else you guys would like to add?
Back at 2.
I would like to add one more thing since you mentioned about after the storm, and that's protection with generators. A lot of people will have their generators running, and it's very, very important to heed caution when you use generators. Do not run them inside. Do not run your barbecue grills inside. Keep your generator off a distance from your open windows. Very important, because a lot of incidents of carbon monoxide poisoning happen after a hurricane, and we'll be sure to get some protective action information about generator safety. Thank you.
We'll be back at 2 o'clock.
What was that?
2 o'clock we'll be back. We have another
2
one at
o'clock. Thank you guys for your
Thank
help.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.